Eagan, can you pull up the slides?
Yep.
All right, I'm going to do one more. Sorry. All right. Hello, everybody. Good morning. My name is Keith Gilmore. Thank you. Let's start that over. Can you hear me? Excellent. Monitor 1 and 2. My name is, okay. Monitor? Oh, I'm kidding. I was making a joke. Okay. Turn around. Oh, yes. Sorry. Thank you. All right. So, yes, my name is Keith Gilmore. First time MC here. Not long time. Thank you. You're the best. Actually, I have a little secret here. So come on. There you go. No, it's not doing it. All right, fine. Sorry. I'll do it. Promise. Okay, thank you. All right. So again, welcome. Glad you are here. Hope you've got some pancakes, bacon, and fruit. Excited to be here. So for those who are new to Social Media Breakfast, essentially we are, as I like to say, we are here to cultivate an enthusiastic learning culture where we bring together marketers and professionals, self-employed people, or those that are curious about marketing and social media, to bring some simplicities to such a complex world, right? And we meet every third Wednesday of each month, and generally it's in the Dream Bank here, but we have some future plans coming up. So we are also looking for new board members. Now, the initiation is pretty harsh. No, it is not. But we are also looking for volunteers. This is a volunteer-led nonprofit. That's what Social Media Breakfast is. And just some of the opportunities are listed behind me. Board secretary, Facebook group admin. You can read. I'm sure you could. Okay, so the recent board member we brought on recently is Tyler. Tyler Wagner. So sorry, Tyler Wagner. He spoke here 2 months ago, and I will tell you, it was one of my favorite talks, particularly on the topic of advertising and just making sense of it. So he obviously brings a large history and experience in this world. But I will say there was one person that's not mentioned that he has worked with that was pretty impressive. Addison, who was that music artist? Sabrina Carpenter. Like that. That's pretty cool. All right, so let's give it up for Tyler Wagner. Glad you could join us. Thank you so much. All right, and thank you to our sponsors. Dream Bank has been a gigantic sponsor for us. Serendipity Labs, and all the other ones. So not to minimize that, they all play a very, very important role, and we are so appreciative of them. Okay, so this is huge. Dream Bank, I will tell you personally, I'm not getting choked up really, but Dream Bank, I remember when Dream Bank was on the. How many of you guys remember it was on the corner of the Capitol Square, right? Remember years ago being there, and I got a chance to speak a few times there, and it was just I love the heart of Dream Bank and how it was just kind of like this epicenter where people could learn. Again, it's just about this enthusiastic learning culture that Dream Bank was about as well. And it was just a really cool hub then and here. And so we want to just give huge props. I point to Andy because he'll be coming up in just a second here, but huge props to Dream Bank. So I just want to ask you just to join me in clapping for and appreciating what they do. Right. Thank you so much. Okay. So beginning in July, we have a new location, and it's all the way upstairs. It's going to, Starting Block has been generous to have us, to host us. Where next month in July will be the third Wednesday, right? We'll be in Starting Block, which is upstairs. What floor is this? Second floor, the second floor. And the elevators are right over there, but more to come about that. Okay, so every single month we feature and spotlight and we shine the light on a nonprofit. In this month, being Pride Month, is Madison Gay Hockey Association. I encourage you to talk with Suzanne and Mandy back there. I really appreciate what they're doing. And so ultimately, they have made hockey accessible to obviously the LGBTQ plus community, but to anyone at any level, right? No matter whether you're just a beginner or seasoned, like you might be amateur, who knows? So make sure to talk to them. All right, and then next month at Starting Block upstairs we've got Olivia Wisdom. She is the founder and CEO of Tulips Creative. I just like saying that. I just wish my mouth wasn't so dry. She'll be talking building brands that make you feel something. Okay, so we've got a giveaway for who here has heard of Ethical Trade Co? All right, Ethical Trade Co is a shop that is inside of a Lutheran church down on Winnebago, and they sell all sorts of different products that are manufactured by people from all around the world, from Haiti to Nepal. That are basically micro enterprise, bunch of micro enterprise businesses with a focus on ethical trade. All right, and someone could be sitting on top of or on a seat that has a $50 gift card right now. So I know where it is, and if you just look under your seat real quick here, or feel under your seat. Okay, all right. So someone here is actually sitting next to the seat. Someone here is sitting next to the seat. You're getting warm, getting warmer. I'm watching. It's that one, sorry. Just gonna, yeah. Right on. So this is, what was your name, sir? Scott. Okay, Scott is our winner of the $50 Ethical Trade Co. If he can pull it off the bottom of the chair, I must have really taped it there really well. So, all right. Okay, so let's, all right. Okay, so let's be friends. Guys, if you have not been here before, or you've not connected with Social Media Breakfast before, take your phones out, grab a shot of this, and we'll connect on social media. All right, so again, let's keep in touch. That QR code's right there. If anyone needs it, going once, going twice. All right. All right, now for our speaker, Eagan Heath. You want to?
Yeah, take off for a second.
Beautiful.
So we didn't bring it in. We're going to do that.
Thank you.
Before we do. Okay. Maybe you speak and I talk back.
Yeah. For sure.
And then we'll have you again after that.
Look at that magic trick. Pull it right down. Hi, everyone. kind of a bittersweet day here. Rainy day, fitting. So I've met pretty much all of you. For those of you who I haven't yet, my name is Andy Frisky. Work here at Dream Bank. In just a few moments, we'll kick things off, but I'd like to share our team's heartfelt gratitude to have you with us for Dream Bank's last social media breakfast event here. So as many of you already know, or for those of you who don't, the Dream Bank space in the Spark building will be closing Thursday, June 25th. I know. Thank you, Dan. As we transition to a fully virtual experience, we're going to continue to offer ways for our community of dreamers to learn, connect, and to stay inspired. And as we embark on this next chapter, we are so deeply grateful for the Madison community here, especially everyone who has made these third Wednesdays of the month so special. Our fabulous speakers, partners, and amazing dreamers like you who have shown up, shared ideas, and supported Dream Bank over the years. So again, thank you for being part of this journey. We can't wait to stay connected and to share with you as we transition into a new era of dreaming. And with that, I will kick it back to Josh.
Okay, y'all. So first of all, let's give it up for Dream Bank, y'all. It's a sad day for Madison. The Dream Bank will not be part of our unbelievable community. I don't know about y'all, but I cannot imagine my entrepreneurial community without Dream Bank having been a part of it these last 15 years. And I can say without a doubt, Social Media Breakfast does not exist today without Dream Bank. So let's give it up for them once more. They'll be continuing on virtually, and we will be checking that out. And I'm sure they'll still have great content. But along with thanking Dream Bank so much for all they've done, I want to specifically thank Andy here, who has been a true champion for this organization. You see this right here? He is the only person in history to get a name tag who is not on the board. That's how much we love Andy. We've had a lot of sponsors. We've had a lot of friends. We've had one name tag made for a non-board member, and maybe he'll join the board, but that's up to him. No pressure. Give Andy a round of applause, though. So Dream Bank was our primary sponsor when we first started this organization, before they were large enough to host us. Back when they were just on the square in their phenomenal space on the square. And then when they opened this space, they said, well, you want to do this once a quarter? And we said, how about 3 times a quarter? And they said, great. And here we are. We've been with them ever since. Every now and then we venture off and do something else, and then we come right back. This has been home. I cannot imagine this organization today without them. We're going to find out next month what it looks like, but it's hard to imagine. And thank goodness for Starting Block, who we also love. But man, if Dream Bank has been part of it. Dream Bank came to us during COVID and said, how can we support the community during this difficult time? And together we worked on the Digital Dream Grant, and we gave out over the several years during COVID, something like $15,000 or $20,000 to like 24 organizations, nonprofits and small businesses to step up their digital program. That came literally from Andy and Dream Bank, but like really Andy and us working together to figure out how to do this. So to say that Dream Bank has been an integral part of Social Media Breakfast undercuts how important they've been. So I just wanted to give one more huge round of applause for Andy and Dream Bank, and then we're going to bring up Eagan.
All right. Okay. So I want to present to you, and there's my glasses here, our speaker for this morning, Eagan Heath. Eagan is the founder of Silver Path Marketing. This guy is I will say I've been around a lot of really highly intelligent people within digital marketing space, and I think Eagan is a representative of that elite, if you would. I really have a lot of respect for Eagan, and so I look forward to what he has for us around the confusing world of Google Ads. Let's welcome Eagan.
Yeah. Can you guys hear me? Not yet. Moving over here. Test. Any luck? Can you guys hear me okay? Okay. You promise. All right. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Keith. Thank you,
Dream Bank. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for being here. Happy to talk about Google Ads that actually make money for small businesses. That's something I've been doing for 10 years now, and this has been one of my main channels, so I'm excited to share with you what I've learned. Yeah, been doing this for 10 years. I work with local businesses, B2B service companies, e-commerce companies, done a little bit of nonprofit too. I'm curious for, this one's not. You guys can hear me, but you can't hear me as well as you need to. How about like that? Now we go. There we go. All right. Yeah. So I've been doing this for 10 years, working with B2B companies, local businesses, e-commerce businesses, in some cases nonprofits. I'm curious for folks here. Are you in a service business where you're selling to other businesses? Please raise your hand. I want to know. A good number. Yeah. Anybody selling products online, e-commerce? Not too many, but a handful. What else? Local businesses. Got a few. Nonprofits. All right. Did I miss anybody? Sounds good. Well, a good mix of different types of organizations. I'll try to speak to each one. So basically, at the end of today, I want you to walk away with, if Google Ads is right for you. In some cases, you may already be running them. How do you know if they're actually working? It's important to track the leads and track your performance. That's part of the idea with pay-per-click marketing, but also digital marketing in general. Part of the power is that we can actually measure whether it's working or not. That's the idea, right? We talk about where does AI fit? And then also, questions you should ask. If you're the owner, if you're the marketer, if you're the salesperson, if you have an agency, if you are the agency, all of these could be pertinent to you. So the first thing is just, does Google Ads make sense? Is it right for your business? So we talk about this as paid search. Sometimes you'll hear PPC, pay-per-click, SEM, search engine marketing, right? And the thing to know, particularly here at Social Media Breakfast, is that this is pull. This is people, we're tapping into existing demand if we're talking about Google search ads, right? So if we're running ads on Meta, if we're running ads on TikTok, it's possible that we're trying to generate demand to get people interested in what we offer. But with search specifically, we don't get in front of people unless they're actually searching for what we do. And so that's kind of the foundation, right? So think of something like emergency plumber near me, as opposed to, hey, like this is a new, type of sunglasses. This is a new hat. This is some lifestyle brand that I'm not even looking for sunglasses or a hat. You're just sort of getting me interested with an ad, right? So just kind of some different ways to think about it. So who's a great fit? Who's less likely to be a fit? Again, if people search for what you sell, we can talk about how we see that. And if a lead or a sale is really worth real money, with any of these ad platforms, this one's obviously been around quite a while, more people pile in, and these are auction-based ads. And so it gets more expensive over time. And if Google is now something of the dinosaur, you can imagine that these are bid up pretty well. And a lot of us see that when you do a Google search, we'll see AI overviews and things like that now. But basically, if there's 4 ads at the top, or if it takes quite a while to scroll down before you even see an organic result, that means it's probably a pretty competitive search phrase, right? So that means there's money there. It's important. I walk clients through this piece of, can you handle more customers right now? How much capacity do you really have? Because when this works, it really works. A couple of years ago, I had a new therapist that came to me and she said, hey, I got a brand new practice. I need to get patients. Like, I don't know how to work for myself. What do we do? We turned on Google Ads and she was full within 4 months. It was just like, she called me and said, we got to turn them off because I'm done. So it's something to consider, particularly with a local business or with a small business, of how much can we scale? And that's part of the beauty here too, is you can turn them on when you need them. You can dial them up. You can dial them down. It really is you're setting the spend per day. And so it is flexible in that way, which is really nice. Let's see. Yeah, if you have it's good to have a fast site and a way to capture leads. I'm speaking about leads, but again, if you're selling products, it could be, you're selling online, right? Things that organizations that are maybe not such a good fit for Google Ads, it could be no one's searching for what you offer. This is a totally new thing. Every now and then I'll speak to a client or a potential client where this is a new category. This is a new product. This is a new offer. This is something innovative, in which case another channel might be more appropriate, right? Like they need some education around this. If we're doing something that's so niche, yeah, that's right. Then it's TikTok ads, Josh. That's right. Yeah. That's a talk for another day, but how do you advertise to people who don't even know that they need or could use what you offer? That's, I would say, more top of funnel demand, and then maybe social media ads would be more appropriate. That's right. Yeah. If you have thin margins and there's not any meat on the bone to advertise with, that's a problem. When you advertise, you're paying to buy new customers or clients. Agreed? And so if your margins are so razor thin, it's a grocery store or something like that, it's just like it doesn't make sense. There's nothing left to do with that. And so that's often a challenge too. When I speak to local businesses, they've been doing this for years, they've never had to advertise. Now they want to grow. Now they want to scale. They've got this new equipment. They've got this crew. They want to keep everybody busy or something like that, right? And it's like, well, are you priced appropriately so that you can actually advertise and roll back into growth? Something good for all marketers to know, whether you're a consultant, an agency, an in-house person, whatever, is there's kind of some benchmarks of what % of revenue is spent on marketing and advertising. Are you guys familiar with this? Let's say you're really in growth mode. What % of revenue do you think is generally rolled back in to grow? What would you guess? Let's say it's $1 million company. What would you need to be rolling into marketing to try to get to 2, 3, 4, 5 million? Yeah.
All the profit.
All the profit goes right back in. Nice. How do you pay yourself then?
Go.
All right. All right. So in some cases, people are scaling so aggressively that the owner's not even taking money out. It's just all going right back in. That would be very aggressive growth. That's good. Yeah. I would say for a more established business, something like 10% is pretty normal. And you think of in $1 million business, if you go to them and say, let's spend $100,000 on advertising, in many cases, that's like a moment. Like they have not budgeted for that. They were not planning for that. They've never done that before. And so we don't always have to start there, but it's nice to anchor to that, to understand if you spend $10,000 on advertising, like that's 1% of your revenue. Like you're not going to go from 1 to 2 million next year. Understand? Like it's disappointing to learn, but it's also good just to set that and understand. So I wanted to talk a bit about that to put some of this in context. So with that in mind, clicks don't pay the bills. This is sort of interesting of like, here we are in 2026. We're just used to this form of advertising, but it's rather interesting to think about, what about before the year 2000? What about before the year 2010? How did people buy advertising? How do people buy advertising if it's not online, if it's not with one of these platforms like Facebook or Google? Do you guys know? Well, what's the increment you buy in? What do you pay for? Scott? Yep. Yeah. So in general, there's this thought of the CPM is the cost per thousand. And so if I'm getting a billboard, if I'm getting a TV ad or a radio ad or a bus ad, whatever it is, there's some sort of estimate on how many thousand people are going to drive by this billboard per time. And then I'm going to pay this many dollars per thousand people. And you think about the quality of that impression, it's going to be pretty different. If we're on the Beltline, we're driving by and I see that ad, am I in the mode to buy something right now? No, hopefully I'm driving, but also it's just who's ever driving here, that's who sees it, right? And so we sort of take for granted the revolutionary nature of this because it was so long ago, but I think it was actually Yahoo and some of those early search engines that first did it, and Google basically adopted it. And so now it's no longer pay per impression just to see an ad, it's pay per click. Make sense? And so you imagine if you bought a billboard and they would only charge you if somebody went to your website from seeing that billboard. It's sort of a crazy thought, but that's why this is a revolution. And then it's even another level. It's not even just they were driving by on the highway. It's right now, I need an emergency plumber, right? It's a point in time need. It's not a question of, am I going to buy? It's, I'm going to buy. Who am I going to go to? So it's those two pieces. It's not just you got an ad in front of me and you pay per 1,000 impressions. It's you got an ad in front of me. You only pay if someone clicks, and you're only advertising to people who are looking for what you do. So this is why I often start here whenever I'm talking to any business or any organization. If you're spending money on other forms of marketing, that can build your brand, that can have a place. But if you're really trying to grow and people are searching for what you do, I think this is where you start. Okay, so that's the context. How about impressions, clicks, leads, and sales? So Google gets people into your funnel, but if a number of you raised hand and said, I'm in a service business, or we do consulting or something like that, there's multiple steps to this, right? And so that impression where your ad is seen, and in the old world that was the bus drove by, right? In this world, it's someone actually Googled something and then they saw it, okay? And then some percent of those people will click. We'll talk about that and what's a good benchmark there. And then if we're doing services, which I am and many of you are, it's like, okay, we're going to get a lead. Somebody's going to call us, or they're going to fill out the form, right? There could be another permutation. It could be book a meeting or something like that, but it's some permutation there. But then the actual money is made later, and not so we're losing people all along the way. We could have 1,000 impressions. We could have, 50 clicks. We could have X number of leads out of that, and then so many sales. And so we kind of have to do this funnel math here. I'm conscious of this is not the kind of stuff that we normally get into too much at Social Media Breakfast. So I'm excited to bring it here. I hope you appreciate it, because we're getting mathy. I'll try not to pull up a spreadsheet, but we'll see. So good things to know. Again, just speaking to your client, speaking to the owner, speaking to your boss, speaking to yourself if you're the owner, right, is what is an average sale worth? This is important to know. There's another element of that, which is, do people buy again? Are there repeat purchases? What's a lifetime customer value? These are very important metrics to know. If you're at $1 million and you want to get to 2, 5, 6, 10, like if you want to grow, you got to know these numbers, because we got to understand what does it cost to buy new customers and clients, and is it profitable, right? Then we need to, so for those of us in services, we need to know our close rate. If we're selling products online, we just need to know our conversion rate, right? And then how much can we afford per lead? He said, roll all the profit back in, grow, grow, grow. Love to see that. For those of us who need to pay ourselves along the way, maybe there's going to be something in the middle, right? Of what can we pay to get a new job? And in many cases, we're looking toward, I learned it the hard way, this is not the bookkeeper's job. This is not like your tax accountant, CPA's job. This is like CFO stuff, right? This is like, know the numbers, what actually makes sense, what are your margins? So how exciting is that? Here we are at Social Media Breakfast, like we're talking about accounting, right? Nice. But this is the language of business. This is how you grow. And then what's our profit margin in that? Okay, enough of that, Eagan. Let's do a back of the napkin. So we said, what if we spend $2,000 a month? Clicks are about $4. Now, are clicks going to be $4 for you, for what you're advertising? Is anybody running Google Ads right now? What do clicks cost? What are you paying? $10 to $20 a click? What are you advertising? Home services? All right, you're in the right place. Anybody else? What are you paying? Cost per click? $6.50. What are you advertising? Self-storage. Okay. Now, if we were running those ads 20 years ago, what would that have cost? Yeah, well under $1. So that's that auction piece. If everybody wants to be on top, people have figured this out by now. And so it's no longer, hey, let's run Google Ads. Our competitor hasn't thought of it. It's they're running ads too, and we need to do better. That's why we're here, right? So anyway, going down the example, spend $2,000 a month, right? We get 500 clicks at $4 a click. I was thinking people were going to think that was high. Sounds like everybody's paying more than $4 a click already, so that's great. Now, let's say we get, hey, some things are implied, Josh. Just kidding. So let's say 10% become leads. By the way, is that a good close rate? Click to lead, is that good? I'm looking at pros that are going, it's not that good. That's good, okay? I'm here to tell you that's good. What's the close rate? Does every single lead buy from you? Every single sales conversation you have, they become a customer or client? No, not quite. And not everyone's the right fit either, right? So let's say we get 10 new customers. Let's say each one is worth $1,200. I don't know what we're selling in this case, but let's just imagine, right? And then there we go, $12,000 in revenue. There should even be another step of how much of that revenue is profit, right? So this is looking pretty good. We spent $2,000 and we made $12,000. But if our profit margin is 10%, then we only get to keep $1,200 of the revenue, and we spent $2,000 to make it. Oh, see why that accounting stuff is important? It's killer. So that's the math we need to be doing. This is, I think when people get into Google Ads, they're like, here's my keywords, here's my ad, let's get it up, let's get going. And it's like, you can see there's some prep work to do to make sure this is actually going to be profitable. Because this is not brand marketing. This is not Santa Claus with the polar bears at Christmas drinking Coca-Cola. This is like click, buy, right? Click, book a meeting. So we've really got to have it dialed into work. All right. So the first thing is we've got to track conversions. All right. And so that could be phone calls, that could be form fills, that could be purchases, that could be booked meetings, maybe live chat. Am I missing anything? Those are kind of the big categories, right? It's direct response marketing. And in the old world, it was you'd get junk mail to your home. You actually have to like fill out an order and send something in. Some people are old enough to remember this, right? And now it's see an ad on the internet, click and do something. But a direct response means we don't just want them to see Santa Claus with the polar bears drinking Coca-Cola and like they're going to buy Coke when Christmas comes around. It's like, no. There's something to do right now after seeing the ad. That's direct response, right? So we got to track all those wins, and we need to know the conversions before we scale. So this is really step one. Quick demo. We're going out of the slides. Heaven help us. All right, who knows Google Tag Manager? See a few pros raising hands. This is the greatest tool. I learned about this in the first year I did this, and it was like, oh, it's a game changer. So when you track, so Google will tell, if you just run Google Ads right now, you can see how many impressions did I get, how many clicks did I get, what did it cost me, right? But what did Eagan just say? Eagan's like, I have to know about all this other stuff about cost per lead and so on, right? So that lead, to get that number, cost per lead, or if we're selling things, cost per sale, sometimes we call it CPA, cost per acquisition, we have to somehow close the loop. We got to send that data back to Google. And so this is where that happens. So if you do that without Google Tag Manager or a tool like this, there's some JavaScript code that runs invisibly in the background, and you have to email IT, and they have to do it wrong 3 times, and you have to go back and forth, or you as the marketer take power. Dig? So instead of Google Analytics or the Facebook pixel or whatever, this is one pixel to rule them all. You get this JavaScript, you put it in the head tag on every page, or you have IT do that once, and now you're in the driver's seat as the marketer. Dig? So on the left, I have the name of my tracking codes. This is for SilverPath marketing. And then on the right, I have the triggers. When do these fire? And so many of these just run on all pages, right? So Google Ads remarketing, HubSpot, Microsoft Clarity, my own tool that I made, those all just run on all pages, right? But if somebody fills out my form when I'm running Google Ads, I need to close the loop. And normally there'd be this inscrutable snippet of JavaScript that somebody's got to put somewhere. But now it's like I can just see when a form gets submitted, send that back to Google Ads. Same story with Facebook, same story with Microsoft Advertising or Bing, same story with LinkedIn. Close the loop, send it back. Greg, is that a question?
That is a question. So what about in the platform, the Google Ads platform, where they say connect with your Google Analytics, you can set up the conversion tracking and make the events available there. That's not that reliable.
Yeah, there are some options. So Greg asked, can we do it right inside the platform? It seems to lead us toward that. There are different routes to go down. This is my preferred route, and the reason is I can see it all face up. If we're running Facebook ads, LinkedIn ads, TikTok, whatever, I can just see in one place what happens. And if everything's living in different platforms, and some of these codes are somewhere in a WordPress page that somebody set 3 years ago, and they're gone, and nobody knows the logins anymore, we got a problem. So I want to see it all one place face up, and I want to have total control because I'm a freak like that. So plug for Google Tag Manager. It takes a couple hours the first time you learn it, and it's just like, it's awesome. So I never go without it if I can help it. So just a little down the rabbit hole there. On to the next thing. Match types. If we run ads and we just say running shoes, so this is the default over here. If I just say, I'm advertising running shoes, my ad can show for best sneakers, marathon training, foot pain. And you're like, how do we get from running shoes to foot pain? Like, I'm not selling foot pain. I'm not even, like, what's going on here? And as with many of these ad platforms, the defaults that they guide you toward are for them to make more money. You may notice they're the largest companies in history. They just sort of like vacuum up money. So if they have a rep that's trying to set a call with you, if they're sending you recommendations via email, if you're getting recommendations in your account, we go, no. Because like they're in it for them and you're in it for you. And I'm trying to lean toward your side here. Get it? So if you just lean to the default and say, we sell running shoes, you're going to pay for all this junk. And Google gets money and you don't. And that's a problem. Okay? Now, next better is in quotes, running shoes. Time was those words had to be together, nothing in between. There could be words on either side. So like buy running shoes was totally allowed, right? This is a little looser now. So trail running shoes, buy running shoes online. It's like Google has gotten loosey-goosey with this in the last couple of years, and it's totally frustrating to those of us PPC, pay-per-click professionals, where it's like we used to really control it, now we don't. But think of this as 1, 2, 3, how strict should it be, right? And then in brackets like this is like, it's got to be running shoes or running shoe. Don't give me any other junk, okay? So in general, in my accounts, I'm using these. I'm doing exact match and phrase match because I want tight control of what am I actually going to show up for. I don't want to spend the whole budget on foot pain if I'm selling shoes. Make sense? Now, what's the downside of that? What am I missing out on if I only do that? Tyler?
Tapping into Google's intent signals beyond your targeting, potentially ads and AI overviews or ads and AI mode.
Yeah, so Tyler said, Google's smarter and smarter all the time. They've got all this AI learning. Like, I was just going to say, there could just be other phrases that I haven't thought of that don't exactly have these words that could be good. But yeah. Tyler's example. Yeah. Just jogging shoes. No walking shoes, please. Yeah. No, Tyler's answer is even better because there could be even more behind it. You could show up in AI overview or other places, right? So even better answer. That's good. So negative keywords, stop paying for junk. Even when you do just phrase match and exact match like I do, you still find things in here. And so it's a regular job to go in and clean things up and add negatives. And pro tip is don't just add this specific negative, think through the others. And so you may set your ads to run, I just want them to run in Wisconsin. So oftentimes I'm marketing for senior living and assisted living companies. And for whatever reason, like Florida and Arizona, and these things are showing up in there, even though we're not advertising there, but a person can be in Madison and Google for assisted living in Florida, right? So when I see that, I don't just add Florida as a negative keyword. I have a standing list of the other 49 states, and I plug all those in as negative keywords so I never pay for them again. Make sense? I've got a list of every major metro area and city in the US that's not in Wisconsin. So when I have a Wisconsin client, I don't want to pay for Miami. I don't want to pay for Columbus, Ohio. I don't want, et cetera, right? That's the idea. All right. Here's the big one. Is there a soapbox in here? Is there a? All right. You guys are already on board for this, but I'm going to preach to the choir a little bit. The biggest thing I've learned in a decade of doing this, guys, do not send money to your home. Do not pay traffic to go to your homepage. And I'm going to go a step further and say, don't send traffic just to your website pages. Well, where are we supposed to send this traffic? Landing pages. Who said that? Did you win the thing earlier? You deserve to. Yeah. So your website, people have all kinds of ways that they come to your website, especially your homepage, right? They cite Social Media Breakfast and they click. They go direct to it. They Google. They click a link from another website. They come from social media. Like people are in different mind states, and it's almost like the old school newspaper where it's like, we're going to read the headlines, and then if I want to read more, I got to like turn to A9 or something like that. That's kind of your homepage. You're like getting people to the rest of your site, whether you're selling products or services, right? But I don't want people going down the rabbit hole. What do I want them to do when I just paid to bring them there? What do I want them to do? Yeah, buy or fill out a form, right? Dedicated landing page. I wish I could show you more case studies, guys. Like I could go on and on and on, and some of them are unbelievable. But I was asking myself in the shower, I was like, have I ever lost when I went from website page to landing page? And the answer is no. So you can only win, and sometimes it's multiple 100%, multiple 1,000% wins. All right. So let's take a quick look. Just who has anybody done PPC for lawyers? Attorneys, yeah. How much is a cost per click for a lawyer? In what year? Lawyers, what's a normal cost per click on Google for an attorney?
I've seen all the way from 5 to 10, but this specifically someone in Texas.
All right, I'm calling BS. Here we go. So this is not a bad diversion necessarily. If you guys don't know about this, when you're in Google Ads, you go to planning, keyword planner. Ready? Discover new keywords, or you just do the keywords you already know. You guys see this? We're going to do attorney. We're going to do lawyer. We're going to do what business attorney, property lawyer. What other types are there? Family law firm. Okay, we get the idea, right? Let's get results. And you can specify the state. What's your name? Logan. What do you think we're going to see? Texas. You think we're going to see $2? Ooh, Logan. Attorney in Texas ranges on the low end $9.25 up to $37.71. Now, you can bid lower and you can get clicks, right? So you don't even have to bid $9. That's why we're here. Business attorney, a mere $5.96 up to $29 a click. Property lawyer, apropos to what I'm going to talk about, only $3.66 up to $15. That's nice. Family law firm. So the thing that's more interesting maybe to you guys is, do you see this column? It says average monthly searches. So if you're selling in Wisconsin, if you're selling in Madison, if you're selling wherever, this is like the reverse phone book lookup. How many times do people crack the yellow pages? How many times do people Google this? And you can even see the seasonality. You see those jagged lines? Apparently there's months where people don't Google for attorney as much as others. So July, a little dip. But back to August, we're calling our attorney. All right. So in the state of Texas, 12,100 times a month, people are Googling for attorney. Interestingly, 27,100 times for lawyer. So this is something I also tell. One of my first clients was a lawyer, and they said, we do litigation. And I was like, I like legal drama as much as anyone else. Can you remind me what that is? She's like, we help sue people. And I was like, oh, let's look that up. And litigation was zero. So marketing is the practice of understanding how other people speak, think, feel, right? And so it's applied psychology. And so we're getting actual data here, and we see how do people search for this. All right, Eagan, where were we? So this is important of understand and do the research. Do people search for what I offer? That's keyword research. And then once we're ready to advertise, then we do the landing page. Remember Texas property? Here we go. So instead of their homepage, we built a dedicated page. Stop overpaying your Texas property taxes. Also, funny story, there's no state income tax in Texas. Do we know this? You know how you pay the state here? They don't do that there. But they get you on the property taxes, I guess. And so people will contest their property taxes. So in the first quarter of the year, they're like Googling this, and these guys want to get on that and get those leads. So a couple things to say about this. The biggie is we got the logo at the top, but what is not at the top? No menu, no links. Are there any links on the whole page? Stop overpaying your property taxes. It's written to you. Are they talking about how they've been in business so many years and blah, 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 and this and that? The only reason you talk about how long you've been in business and all that, like I've been doing, is you're just trying to build trust, right? So they say 87% historical win rate, 3,500 Texans represented, 0 upfront fees, pay for performance, right? Work with an experienced attorney, and then you're just building trust. Here he is. He's been 20 years, Texas super lawyer. litter your page with social proof. So put your Google reviews, put your Facebook reviews, put your testimonial videos, whatever, there you go. And then all the headlines are written second person. Are you ready to stop paying? Get your free review. Nice big old button. What's that called? Call to action, the CTA. How do you think this bad boy did? Yeah. Yeah. So we got them hundreds of leads for $43 a lead. Yeah. Conversion rate was around, again, 10 to 15% on this thing. Cost per click on that low end of what was. So lawyers often pay. There are lawyers that pay more per click than this client had to pay per lead. Make sense? And then ultimately what matters is who became a client. That I could go on and that, but you get the idea. What makes a good landing page convert? The message matches the ad. So whatever people Googled, that's what the ad should say. And then that's what the landing page should say at the top. It should all match. Clear call to action. There's either a form or a phone call. It's got to be fast. It's got to work on mobile. We have social proof, a clear offer, and then give me a call to action. Give me a button, right? And then you can extend how much of the real estate you take. Like you get a write, what is it, 30 characters or something in your headline, 90 characters in your description. Like you don't get a lot. So expand it by having potentially links to other parts of your site, having special call outs, having structured snippets. If you take phone calls, just let people call you right from the Google result page. If you are a local business, you connect your Google business profile and suddenly you're running in that little maps pack. And there's just a little bitty thing that says ad or sponsored. So people just think you're showing up for SEO, right? Add some images, add your logo, etc. Take up more real estate at the top. Here's another mistake we see is just, okay, ads are running. Forget about that for 5 years. Oh yeah, those are still running? It's like, no, all the things I just said, like we need to be adding negative keywords. We need to be looking at our landing pages. We need to be testing different ads, right? So shift the budgets where appropriate. We don't want junk searches in there. Like watch what your competitors are doing and watch out always for Google's recommendations because they're terrible. And there's a setting that they will sneak in where they will auto apply their recommendations, which is great for them and terrible for you. Now, tracking the lead all the way to the sale. Who's in a service business? Who's not selling products? So I quite a few before. I thought it was more than half. Yeah. So 50 leads a month, that sounds pretty good. But like, how much money did that lead to? Agreed? Like, whose boss or client is going to ask them that, right? That's what we want to know. So we're getting then into CRM, right? Customer relationship management tool. And yes, I'm out of order here on this. Track the whole, let's say. Yeah, so if it's a lead comes in, we want to follow that all the way through the CRM. Did they actually buy from us, right? Quick note on phone calls. How do we know if a phone call came from a Google ad?
Phone number for it.
Thank you, Judah. Specific tracking numbers, call tracking numbers. There are tools you can use for this. CallRail is the best known one. But basically, someone comes to your site, and even if they're on desktop, it can dynamically swap out your phone number. They call that number. It still rings to you, but it can record it. And if it's in your state, you have to let them know, you're being recorded if that's appropriate, right? But then it actually can track it back. So even if you do phone calls, one, set up a call tracking number so you can measure it. And two, make sure people answer those. I can't tell you how many service businesses will just like set up this monster of a Google ad campaign for, and then we go and listen, and it's like everybody's going to voicemail. And I'm like, ooh, we fumbled at the 1 yard line. That's not pretty, folks. So offline conversion tracking is basically connecting your CRM back to the ad platform. Facebook has this too, by the way, right? And so send that information back. There's a special piece of data you need. It's called the G-CLID or the Google Click ID, and that's what matches it up. And so you need some tool to capture that when someone fills out your form and then connect it up with your CRM. Either you're exporting that as a CSV and putting that back in, or you're just connecting that with your CRM. And a modern CRM should be able to do this. I deal with many clients with special industry ones that cannot. So I have built a tool that does this because it's that big a deal where it's like, they want sales. They don't want impressions. They don't want clicks. Leads are okay if they're good, but we really want sales. So let's emphasize that, and then let's declare victory when we make a sale, and let's let the ad platform know about that. Make sense? So quick things in your own account. Conversions, just are they working? Test. When you use Google Tag Manager like that, you can go into preview and debug mode and see when I fill out the form, does the tag fire for Google Ads? That would be good to know, right? If we've got a call tracking number, like is that actually set up and working and going somewhere, right? Then we need to know our cost per conversion, and we're watching that number like a hawk. Faith was referencing to me the first time I spoke at Social Media Breakfast many years ago at Rick's Co-working, and it's like, that somebody asked me that question, how much should we pay per click? And it's taken me, whatever, 9 years since I spoke there. The answer now is, don't worry about the click, worry about that conversion, right? Your CPA, your cost per acquisition, is it profitable? Yes, no. That's the number we're watching like a hawk, okay? And so if we need to improve that, we are checking our search terms, we're closely matching our ad to our landing page to what people actually searched, and then are we putting the money where it matters, right? One thing that has also come up for me, people come to me and they say, Eagan, we've been working with an agency for years. We can't make heads or tails of the reports they send us only periodically. There seems to be a lot of data. We don't know what's going on. Can you take a look? We don't know what they're doing for us is a big complaint. So if you are in digital marketing, make sure to make it clear what you're doing for your clients or your boss or the company, okay? Yet it's not just doing the work, it's communicating about the work. I would actually say it's about 50-50. Kind of interesting. So this is a way to check, did your agency do anything? When's the last time they did anything? You go into change history. And so I will go in and audit an account, and I'll look at their campaigns, and I'll scroll to the bottom to this obscure little menu, and I'll hit change history, and I'll just see, have they done anything in this whole time period? And when the agency or consultant's been there, so I can see I just made an update here on June 16th. I increased my cost per clicks. There we go. So you can actually see the audit trail of what happened in the account, right? You would be amazed, client audits I've done, where this hasn't been touched in years. So that's a pretty dead giveaway that nothing much is happening in there if nothing's changing. Now, a mature account, you don't need to change too much if it's working, but if it's not working or you don't know it's working, we got a problem. Agreed? Search terms report, you guys understand. Emergency plumber near me, good. 24-hour plumber, good. Plumber salary, ooh, that's different. Yeah. How to fix a leaky faucet, what do you think? It's kind of DIY. We don't need to pay for that one. Change history, we just looked at that. Is anyone here? What kind of work? The other thing about that change history is you can look at the change and then look at the line graph. Whoops, my CPA went way up. Or hey, my CPA went way down, but conversions went up, right? So what happened? Where are we at with things? Greg.
Quick question on the keywords. Sometimes Google doesn't always show you all the keywords.
Oh, yes. Don't even get, where's that soapbox I asked for? Okay. Google's defaults, again, are for them and not for you. So increasingly, they will drive you toward these performance max campaigns, dedicated campaigns, and I totally glossed over that and should not have. When I set these up, I do search only, no display, no search partners. Search partners are other search engines that Google Ads can run in. You can test those, but man, if I'm reading the New York Times and I see a display ad, and there's Santa again with those polar bears drinking Coca-Cola, like, that's a totally different ad than like, I'm Googling for a plumber right now, or I'm Googling for soda right now, right? I don't want those mixed together. So I want search only, it's gotta be its own thing. I don't want to mix. Now, I also don't want to pay for my own brand name, right? Silver Path Marketing, like that's my company, like I made that up, it shouldn't be another one. Unless a competitor's running ads on my name, which we can talk about, I don't want to pay for those. So I'm going to add my name as a negative, right? Now, what about a competitor? Somebody wants to go to Windbound, right? Windbound, of all places, just kidding. They want to work with Greg Michigan. So like they're Googling for Windbound. I don't necessarily need to pay for that either. Now people are like, Eagan, I want to be aggressive. I want to advertise in the competitors' names. Fine. My vote is you make that a separate campaign because it's not going to perform as well. And I want to see that. I want to separate that out. Greg's question was, how come I can't see the search terms sometimes? If you go with their automated options, if you're going with Performance Max and things like that, they're hiding more and more of this. There's levers in there I could have talked about 5 years ago that are just gone now. Rest in peace. What was it? Modified match. There was one in between broad match and phrase match, and it was awesome. It was my best performer. And one day they're like, yeah, that's gone. That's gone. So give yourself, like, it's a complex, it's this cockpit in there. It's really complicated. I don't dispute that. But when you give yourself all the levers, you can drive better performance. And so when you go to, do I have this right? Of Performance Max, you don't always get the search terms. Are there any other campaigns that just hide those from you? If you do a regular search campaign, you should see your search terms, right? AI Max now, yeah, that's right. With all the new things they roll out and all the automation, here's an AI option. You can test them, but anytime I can't see, am I paying for branded competitor junk, I'm out. Like, I want to know what I'm paying for, so I want to be able to see this. So the answer, Greg, is like on the way in, I'm setting up pretty manual campaigns just so I can see all this. Yep, good question. Change history, we talked about that. All right, I got to keep moving. Where does AI help? Where does it not? Opinions will differ. You will hear different opinions in this room. Feel free to ask people. So there's this whole thing of how do we bid, right? You can just bid manually. You can say, I'm going to pay $5 a click. I'm not going to pay more than $4 a click. Sometimes I do that, but sometimes you want to say, just give me maximum conversions or give me a target cost per CPA, right? That's fine, but again, you need enough data flowing through. If you're a small business and you're doing $2,000 a month in spend, you're not sending in enough data for AI to like optimize on. Like that's set up for these huge brands that are spending all this money and getting thousands of conversions going through a week and maybe a day, right? So think about what does the AI really have to optimize. But yeah, smart bidding can make sense in some cases. Obviously drafting the assets, helping you write the ads, spotting patterns. Sometimes you're just like, hey, look at this for me, and then summarize the data. If I've spoken to many previous team members and people I know in the industry of just AI has been a godsend for just the reporting, like making sense of all this data. What's the through line, right? Where do I think it still falls short, at least for the moment? I think there's this piece about strategy and judgment. There's that offline reality, which is we gotta loop it back in with the CRM. When we get a sale, I want to know how much was that sale and did it come from Google? And if so, I want to load it back in, right? If there's branding, if there's nuance, and then any guardrails is important. I can't even tell you, go look for the setting to turn off Google's auto-applied suggestions because they're just awful. Yeah, smart bidding only as smart as the data you feed it. You get the idea, we've harped on that. And then, yeah, just questions to ask about your account, about your agency, about your own business if you want. Are the leads tracked? Do they match real leads? You can always match it up. Are we actually seeing this? When you have a dedicated landing page, not only is that giving you better performance, you're setting this aside. This was the Google Ads landing page. Anything that came through that form, I know it was a Google Ad lead. Let's match it up and just see if they're real, right? What is our cost per lead? What's our cost per sale? Do the paid clicks land on a real landing page? When's the last time we did a review of the search terms report? We can see that in change history. Are we sending the value back? So if we're in e-commerce, you got to be sending that revenue back in, right? Like we want to see return on ad spend, right? Or if we're a service business, can we get the actual sale value from the CRM and pass that back in as an offline conversion, right? Are we counting phone calls, right? What do we change in the last month? And then what's AI handling and who's watching it? AI Max is another one where remember those site link extensions that give you all that other real estate? Hey, add other links to my page. I was like, where did these come from? I didn't add these. Like, why am I paying for traffic to a blog post? And it was AI Max had automatically added these extensions or these ad assets that I did not want. And so I'm going in and turning those off sometimes. Yeah. We care about profit, not just the clicks. Got to know your numbers. Got to send traffic to those dedicated landing pages. There's nothing else to do on that page, but become a lead or buy or go away. That's it. There's no links. There's no rabbit holes to get down. Make it very, very simple and straightforward. We track every lead all the way through to the sale. Obviously use AI where it makes sense, test it out. But right now we've got human in the loop. I've been doing this 10 years. Like I'm still the human in the loop on these things. That's it. Thanks for having me. Feel free to ask questions. Cool.
All right. Thank you so much, Eagan. This is great. I'm just here to help facilitate those Q&As, the question and answer time. So if you have a question, someone else is going to bring you a mic, so hold off on speaking. We got the first question from Steve in the back.
Thanks, Addison. Thanks, Eagan. Always great. What's a reasonable expectation for somebody to start seeing results on their strategy here? I would get asked that all the time.
Yeah, what's an expectation to start seeing results? The good news is this is the speedboat. Like I did SEO for years too. SEO is going to take us months and years. This should be in days and weeks to at least we're getting some clicks and hopefully getting some leads. So this is the fastest way. This is the most targeted way. You know, if you're tapping into existing demand for what you market and what you sell, I think this is where you start. Now, if we have a longer sales cycle, if we're B2B, are we making hundreds of thousands of dollars tomorrow? Not necessarily, but we want to make sure that, you know, we've got impressions, we've got clicks, we've got leads, and then down the road, like we've got sales. And that's a piece I've really built on too. I didn't talk a lot about this, but basically I built custom software this year for my clients, and happy to talk with you about it if you're interested. We're doing the things that CallRail does, that HubSpot does, that Go High Level does. I've just built that in-house so we can see all that. And then I've added some of my own bells and whistles. And one of the things that I really wanted to get in there is clients would ask me which lead came from Google Ads. So everything was high level about the numbers today, but it's against the rules of the platform and Google Analytics to pass in any personally identifiable information. And so I basically built this tool, I call it the Marketing Automation Tracker. Feel free to email me about it if you're interested, where I want to see which lead came from which ad and what did they Google. And so that's the piece of, if you have a dedicated landing page, dedicated phone number, or if you have this data that can go into your CRM, then we actually know, do the leads lead to business? So I think you should be seeing action, you know, in the first few weeks, and then certainly you want to make sure those are closing into sales in a month or two.
Hello. So my question is, what's your experience and or feelings about Google's recommended enhanced conversions and the user provided data events that they want you to set up in GTM? What's your experience with that?
Yeah, I'm pro enhanced conversions. Basically, this is that Google Click ID I talked about. That's how Google's matching things up, but things happen. Sometimes using a special browser, or that gets lost or something like that. So there's this other layer to match up the leads of, if I'm signed into my Gmail account, Google actually knows who I am. And so if you share data back from your tracking that says, this is Eagan Heath and here's his Gmail, Google knows it's me, and that helps give you even better conversion data. So I'm pro enhanced conversions. The setup is even beyond what I described today. It's quite finicky even for me. So I think it's some work to set up. And if you have experience with that, Logan, I'd love to talk with you.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
I was just curious, you mentioned that you have a default, like all the states, and you exclude them, but it's geographic. So isn't that redundant?
Yeah, I would have thought it was redundant, but there's this issue of people travel and they Google while they travel, or they're using a VPN, or Google just misses it. And so as I build things with AI, Claude often says, you need a belt and suspenders approach. And so I'm even hearing of, we include Wisconsin, and then we exclude all the other states. So that would be on the geographic targeting and potentially on the keyword level too. That would be the belt and suspenders. Just like we never want to pay for a junk click. We want everything going where it counts. Yeah, good question. There's a setting in there in locations of its default is people who are interested in. So you're running ads for an e-commerce company in the US. You're like, what's with all these clicks from Pakistan? And it's like, Google's like, hey, people are interested in the US. And you're like, no, like I'm advertising in the US. So you have to like dig into the bowels of the system and find this one setting that says people who are in this location. So can't trust it.
Is there a bow tie with suspension?
There should be as well, yes. Bow tie.
Great presentation, Eagan, as always. Can you talk a little bit about bid strategy and when you come in? I mean, Google's always got the recommended bids, and maybe you're starting a campaign, you're not seeing any action because you're coming in low and you're like, oh, they got me. And then, what do you do from there?
Yeah. I'm a grandpa in that I'm often starting manual bids. It depends on what the client wants. It depends on what I want, right? But I want to see what can I get away with? And that's how it used to be. Here's another thought experiment. Has anybody been to an auction in person? They're going, going once, going twice. Like they speak fast and you're like, yes, I would like this tractor for $3,000. I went with my uncle and it was a farm auction, right? Now here's a weird thought. I'm selling a tractor. I'm the auctioneer. You guys are farmers and you're bidding on the tractor. Okay. But instead of saying, yeah, I would pay $250 for that. Yeah, I would pay $2,500 for that. What if you all ceded the authority to me to give you the best deal on the tractor? Would that be odd? Is there kind of a conflict of interest there of like, I'm selling the tractor. Don't worry, I got your bid. You don't even need to bid anymore. In fact, you guys don't need to be here. I'll just handle the sale. I'll let you know who wins. And I'll let you know what that cost. So fundamentally, I have a problem with the automated bidding in that they have one interest and I have another. So I think when you're driving a lot of conversions through, maximize conversions can work well. Target CPA can work well, but just like watch it carefully and test the others. So for that reason, it's like, I can't get over that conflict of interest that they've just sort of like elided with these new bidding things, where I understand they have many more data points. They know if someone's on the subway on their smartphone versus someone's on their desktop, but you can shift your bidding based on, device type. Like you can do some of that manually. So I'm never going to say I never do automated bidding or I always do manual. I think there's people who are purists on either side, but I can't get over that conflict of interest. And so you can check your auction insights just to see, are you being outbid? And clients love to see this. What percent of the time am I showing up for what I'm bidding on? And if it's 10% and they've got some competitor they hate, which all clients seem to, and you're like, ooh, they're at 39% and you're sub 10%, you might want to bid higher. So your big two levers are how much are you spending per day? Are you running out of your budget? And then how much are you bidding per click? And you can seed that bidding now to Google, or you can be bidding manually or some variant of that. So test.
We got some online questions quick. Can the quality of a landing page affect the actual performance of the ad? For example, Google sees an unoptimized landing page and it leads to lower impressions on the ad.
Great question. I think it can. There is a column you can look at in your reports called quality score. And if they're not calling it quality score today or tomorrow, they'll call it something else. But they're looking at landing page quality. And in general, there's a matchup of what did they Google? What does the ad say? What does the landing page say? And so even though PPC is over here and SEO is over here, it behooves you to optimize the page with the title tag, the description, your headlines, the text on the page, etc., because Google is looking at that page and it's giving a 1 through 10 on quality score. And so if you have a 1 out of 10 on quality score, and the page isn't matching up to what someone's searching for or the ad, Google can ding you for that. And remember that range on attorney keywords in Texas? They're going to put you toward the higher end if you have a lower quality score. So your bid is not the only input. The quality of your ad, the high click-through rate on your ad, people not bouncing from the landing page, all of those can basically affect what Google charges you. So the things I talked about today of use a dedicated landing page, really match up, your keywords to your campaigns, all of that can reduce your cost per click. And so when you have higher click-through rate and potentially higher engagement, higher conversion rates, that can affect ad performance. So I would say yes.
Okay, one more digital. For the landing page, do you recommend one CTA or form? Or would a form and an option to get a guide freebie and email sequence be good to include too? Industry is travel planning.
In travel planning, it's basically, do we want to have a secondary CTA that's a lighter ask? Maybe they're not ready to talk to a salesperson yet, but they would maybe get on the email list and check out a free guide. In general, I'm very pro lead magnet, pro email sequence like that. In this case, you'd have to test. I don't like to muddy the waters in general on give it one CTA to rule them all on a Google Ads landing page, but it could be something you could test and then just watch down the road. Do those people who take the secondary CTA, do they ever convert?
One more line.
I had a question about minimum budget recommendation for a brand new account and what that may settle to later if that changes from initial algorithm building to static for something like a home service business, for example.
Yeah. I do talk with clients about this of whenever you advertise, there needs to be some level of test budget and time frame. And that should be measured in weeks and months and ideally in thousands of dollars, right? So you can start wherever you want. You can start at $10 a day. What is that? You know, like, it's like, you can start low if you want, but understand that in order to get enough signal, like you're going to need some clicks. And so if you have, like most websites have a 1 to 3% conversion rate. So if a click is going to cost $1 and we need 100 people to the site, like $100 is going to get us 100 clicks to the site. And if we discover we only have a 0.5% conversion rate, then we need to fix our landing page. But we're going to need more data too. So think in the thousands, think in weeks and months would be my recommendation. If you have to do less, you can. It's just going to take you longer to learn from the poor search terms, the conversion rate, everything. Faster you can go, the more data you can get. Say again.
You're optimizing for data.
Optimize for data. Yeah, I mean, you're optimizing for business performance, and we don't have to spend $10,000 next week, but it needs to be enough that we're going to learn and see, does this have legs or not? Yeah.
Any other questions? Right. I'll wrap this up.
Yeah.
All right.
Mike?
Yes. Awesome. Great. The one thing I was going to mention, Eagan, is having been in digital marketing for a while, I remember, how many guys have seen the movie Moneyball?
Yeah.
Moneyball, right? So the idea in terms of setting expectations when it comes to advertising online is usually much like everyone wants a home run, but if you focus on the base hits, which actually are the clicks to the landing page and then clicking the CTA, all of those are base hits. But you can't just go, I want to get a home run. When's that home run coming? Because ultimately those base hits accumulate to a home run. So that just always helped me to go at least describe, set better expectations when it comes to like the hope that you are going to, make money from the ads. So base hits. All right, well, let's give it up for Eagan one more time. Really appreciate you simplifying the complex world. Thank you so much.